You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, Obi-Wan Kenobi finale.
The finale.
So hype, and what a great episode it was. It was definitely for sure fan service, but not only that, it was just insanely good. I was emotional. I was hyped. It was so exciting. So spoilers ahead as we get into this episode. What do you think, Nathan?
Dude, like I said to you earlier, I had really high expectations going into this episode, but I feel like this episode met them, to be honest with you.
They did.
We were expecting some cameos. We were expecting some awesome lightsaber fights, and I think like we as fans like got everything that we wanted.
I think we were for sure fed.
You
We were for sure fed. The only thing from the Kenobi series as a whole that I felt was missing and that I would have liked, that I was expecting, but I'm not disappointed ultimately, but it was just kind of like the Clone Wars references and then Clone Wars flashbacks that we never really got. We got some flashbacks, but they weren't with the Clone Wars. So that's the kind of part I was missing of the show. But all in all, though, it did not disappoint me that much because it was great all in all for me. So I was super excited for that. So also, this episode, of course, was just super fan service. So we got to highlight that. But also, we see Obi-Wan, we see Vader, and we see, them, kind of going, back and forth between each other because one is in a, trying to get the people to safety, and the other one is pursuing the other, and that was super cool.
Ships.
They were both in ships. That part was really, really cool to me because you see, Darth Vader coming in the Star Destroyer, and then you see Obi-Wan trying to flee. Is so cool.
Like, help!
Help me! I need your help. Anyway, Obi-Wan.
What was that?
Obi-Wan was wanting to save the people, of course, because he's a Jedi. He's heroic. He wants to save Leia ultimately because she's on that ship as well. But then he realizes the only way to do that is if he gets them to go away from them and for Vader to come to Obi-Wan himself.
Yeah. Do you think his motives were more I want to face him again, or more I want to like save these people? Because like as the other pilot points out, he's like, this is really about you guys.
Yeah,
right?
I think
Not
it was a little bit of
safety.
both because I think Obi-Wan initially, he wanted to see if there really was any good with him, right? I think he really was genuinely felt like there might be good somewhere in Anakin. He wanted to see if he can find that and then confront him again with that. And then also, with the idea of Leia, didn't want Vader to find out about Leia to get to Leia. He also wanted to, of course, see and hopefully try to, see what he can do with Vader and fight him ultimately. So that was really, really cool to me. And then, of course, he does do this. He does go, and Vader's blinded by his hatred, so he follows him. But I really want to highlight, though, I thought it was really cool. I know they interacted in the last episode, him and Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, but it was really cool to see them interact on a Star Destroyer because this is the first time we've really seen them in live action interact as the last have been this one, because we never have before. Even in Rebels Season 1, they never really interact. So it was really, really cool to see that in live action for sure. And I think the Grand Inquisitor actually does look pretty good, a lot better than he did in the trailer. So
yeah,
I will say,
I was surprised at Disney because normally they'll put out stuff and then you'd be like, wow, that looks terrible, and then not much gets fixed.
Right.
But however, when they first put out, Rupert. Is it friend? Looking at dude, he looked terrible.
Yeah, he did.
He really did. But they improved it a little bit. Obviously, we know we don't expect like super accurate, animation to live action. But I thought it looked pretty good.
I do. I agree. I think he looked a lot better. Give him the yellow eyes, and he looked a little bit like, I don't know what's the word, leaner, I guess.
Yeah.
So he looked a little bit better there. So that was really cool. So of course we have Obi-Wan going off to this planet. I don't know what the planet's name was, but
it was like Tessin.
No, that's where they're trying to get to.
Oh.
That's just the planet.
Did they ever even then mention the name of the planet that they fought on?
I don't think so. I think it's just the nearest planet that
he
they
just
went
finds
to.
the nearest planet so he can park.
Obi-Wan, of course, goes that, and then Vader follows him. And then we cut over to Reva and her storyline, which, like you pointed out, it was a little bit odd. I will agree, but still was cool. I mean, I feel like it was really cool because you have Reva who is wanting to go after Luke ultimately, and because apparently she found out who he is, and he wants ultimate revenge against Vader.
I still don't understand how she knew like who Luke was, like just based on like that one like glitzy hologram. Like, I don't understand it, and I also feel like they should have given just like a tiny explanation of like her motives. Like she sees this glitchy Bail Organa hologram, and then she decides that she just wants to go chase down a kid and kill him.
Right. Yeah. That was a little bit odd. And I mean, I can see the motive of want, but the explanation of why is a little bit off to me. But all in all, that scene was pretty cool. You have Beru, you have Uncle Owen getting their blasters ready. They're ready for coming. They're getting ready to protect Luke with all of their force, even though they don't have much force because they get defeated by stormtroopers later on.
Rip.
Where
those guns then?
At least we knew they would live.
And Luke too. I was worried for him.
And I also do appreciate them showing that Reva was weakened instead of her just being like, I'm
Massively
better.
OP.
Yeah.
Well, they never even show like, you know, if she has like a bandage or she's bleeding or something.
She does
like,
have a bandage.
Does she actually?
Yeah.
I still understand how
She was wrapped up.
like how'd she get to Tatooine? Like,
She
we gotta
flew
talk
there, I
about
guess.
that.
Yeah, I guess
she
she
was
flew there.
stranded.
Right.
As far as I know, she was stranded. How did she fly? We don't know.
We don't know. I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah, there's inconsistencies there, but those are I'm willing to overlook those for the overall episode in general. But of course we go back and then they go back and forth, but we're just going to talk about this one because it's the most important and the best part of the episode, and the best part of the series.
Yeah.
Was Obi-Wan fighting Vader. And this fight, like I told y'all, all you doubters, all you fakers out there, fake fans who were like, episode 3, that lightsaber fight was horrible. That was stupid. Obi-Wan was weak. I was right. Back to episode 6, that fight was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was Vader in his suit, and that fight was awesome.
I know we both got some specific people in mind.
Yep.
But wow, like you said, Michael, this fight scene was amazing.
It was.
This fight choreography was, frankly, some of the best we've seen.
It was probably one of the best duels we've seen in Star Wars. I mean, obviously not up there with the Mustafar, but
or Phantom Menace,
or Phantom Menace, but it's up there. It's for sure one of the best.
The whole setting, the pillars of the rock, the nighttime,
the use of force, Obi-Wan not being defensive, more so offensive.
Yeah,
we see his famous pose. We
see his famous pose, and I don't know if this is an actual thing or not,
right.
But when Obi-Wan's on the offense, it looks like he's adapting some of Anakin's fighting style.
It does.
There's like one specific moves he does where he twirls a lightsaber around his back. That's like the exact same to what Anakin does when they're fighting Revenge of the Sith. So it looks like the roles are reversed. Like Vader's playing like a very defensive role, and Obi-Wan's just like coming after him.
Yeah,
and we've never seen that.
No, we've never seen him do
ever.
That. And we see Obi-Wan. He's got his powers back. Like he's ready to go. He's fun because Vader even says, "Wow, you were not as weak as you once were. You got your abilities back and stuff." So that was awesome. And not only that, we've never seen this amount of power come from Obi-Wan. Like we knew he was a powerful Jedi, but we didn't know that this amount of power would come from him.
Yeah, well, that's because he's very kind and compassionate, and he never shows it unless he has to.
Right.
But I think it raises a question like, how was he able to do that, right? He was kind of like out of commission for 10 years. He gets absolutely stomped in episode 3. So we know that the thought of Luke and Leia like pushing forward and trying to save those people, but like how does that equate over like to his skill and being able to fight against someone like Vader?
Force is a concept that obviously we know very little about. And the Force, I feel like, when it's suppressed for so long, it's something that, of course, he has years and years Obi-Wan of training, and 10 years of not training, and 10 years of being kind of away from the Force in general for a while. I mean, yeah, he's going to be rusty, but when he gets that, emotions back, and when he gets the power of the Force back, and he kind of rekindles the Force within himself, everything just kind of floated back to him. And especially in this moment when he knew if he didn't, do something, that there might be higher stakes than ever before.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to me. And I think it ultimately was really well done. And the fight was awesome. And then you, of course, have Obi-Wan being buried alive by Vader, which was cool.
That was, dude, Vader like putting his hand down and causing the ground to collapse. It's something like we've seen in anime, something we've seen in cartoons, but we haven't seen in Star Wars.
I have to highlight some of the Revenge of the Sith dialogue, too, right before the confrontation when they were like, I failed you and all that stuff. That was
I will do what I must.
I will do what I must. That was so cool. And then I thought it would have been cool that if the writers didn't think of this, but I think they should have, is when Obi-Wan was down in the pit and the rocks were about to come down. I think Vader, when he was up there, he should have said, "I have the high ground.
Like, it's over.
Like I have the high ground now," or something like that. That would have been fans would have gone hype for that.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. Unfortunately, they had the perfect opportunity. Cool. But oh well.
But the dude threw a freaking mountain on Obi-Wan.
They did. He threw everything at him.
I'd say the only question I have with that part is like, why did Vader just walk away?
Right.
Because Obi-Wan, he was using Force the whole time to keep himself from not being crushed to death. So Vader easily would have been able to sense that. So why does he just walk away?
I don't know. That's the one thing with Vader in this series is they're showing Vader and they're showing his power for sure, which is epic.
Kill him,
right?
Don't hold back.
But he's being like very, I don't know what the word is. Like he's kind of more like wounding his prey instead of killing his prey. If that makes sense.
Well, I think that falls more on the writers because I think like in reality, Vader would go all out. That's the reason he's alive. He's trying to get vengeance on Kenobi.
Right. Unless there's like another use, but there wouldn't have been another use of Obi-Wan there. So I don't know what he was trying to do. But then we see this awesome scene of, Obi-Wan was holding the pieces back so it wouldn't like crush him.
Yeah.
And then of course he gets flashbacks to Luke and Leia, what he must do to save them. They need him. and he pushes it all out.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most force used we've seen
we've
from
ever
Obi-Wan.
seen Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And he pushed it all out. And then, of course, Vader's walking back, and then he senses him, and then they go at it again. And then Obi-Wan's still super
going crazy,
he was going
bro.
crazy.
He's like diving at him. He's throwing rocks
He
at
hit
him.
his suit multiple times, and he picked up all of them rocks and threw them at him.
Yeah, he just holding his hands in the air, throwing
insane.
rocks at Vader.
And then I called it back. I was like telling you, like, we got to see this.
Yeah,
and
you're like, we gotta see it. We're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. I was like,
and I was talking about
you're right.
Hayden Christensen. We're gonna see Vader with a little bit off the mask, no mask. I was hoping that we'd see like full on no mask, but the fact that we did get a little bit of the side, kind of like Rebels was,
Ahsoka was
that was awesome. You could see Hayden Christensen's face, and they did blend together the voices of James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen.
What I liked even more was being able to hear Christensen's voice rather than seeing his face. They were both cool, but hearing his voice, for so long after hearing James Earl Jones was like, dude, crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy how much of this suit impacts him.
Yeah, and it'd be like glitching like in and out. So like you'd hear Hayden's and then like Jones' voice like would finish or something like that.
So cool, and the fact that Obi-Wan was able to break his mask like that just shows his ability. Like, it's so awesome. And like we said, we said that Obi-Wan would have to win this fight because, it'd have to, because of course, what Vader says later on. So it was awesome to see them fight again and have that confrontation.
Yeah. Why did Obi-Wan just like leave him kneeling there? I know he doesn't have the heart to kill him, but like, I guess what else like could he have done?
Right. I don't know.
Beating him completely.
Right. So I don't know if Obi-Wan was just like, he had compassion. He didn't want to kill him again. But I'm not exactly sure why, but I can respect it because, that's what has to happen. And I thought it was really cool also when he was like, he was looking at him and he said, Anakin, are you still in there? And then Vader's like, I killed Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. You didn't kill him. I killed him. And that was like,
And I bet, that was also really good for Kenobi to hear. Because he's lived with that guilt for so long,
right?
So for him to finally hear like it wasn't my fault, because that's what Anakin says. Like, it wasn't your failure. He's like, I'm the one who killed Anakin.
I'm the one who
I'm
killed
sure
Anakin.
that has to be like a load off.
It does. I feel like it's a load off, but also more of a load too, because he feels so terrible for what happened to his brother. Essentially, which is super super sad. So, but it was awesome in that scene because I think back to when he's talking about Vader to Luke later on in the originals, and he's telling him that Vader killed his father. And that makes more sense now after seeing this episode and the truth of that.
Vader.
And him knowing that, Obi-Wan knowing that. So that was really, really cool. All right. So that, concludes that battle. Of course, Obi-Wan goes away and he senses something going on in Tatooine with Luke. So he tells it back to Tatooine.
So Reva's going like full out, limping, trying to chase down, all like Michael Myers-y on Luke. I feel bad for the kid, but I still don't know why she's exactly chasing him.
Right.
But I obviously during that whole scene, you never like felt too worried or scared because all the characters were gonna survive.
Right.
That we knew and loved, obviously, because we see him later.
Exactly.
So they're like big stakes with that. But like I said, I don't know. That just seemed like felt weird in between like the Vader and Kenobi scene. I felt like very odd placement.
They definitely gave Reva way too much screen time than she needed. I think that the Grand Inquisitor been far more interesting of a character to explore more than Reva.
I agree.
But it's all in good fun, I guess. We did get the fight that I was looking forward to, so I'll just kind of overlook that. But of course, we get Obi-Wan coming to Tatooine and him confronting Reva because Reva brings back Luke safe and sound. And they have this conversation that was supposed to be emotional, but wasn't as emotional because we don't like Reva too much.
Yeah.
But actually, I do appreciate the writers in the sense that they made her character a little bit better on the eyes than just absolutely hated.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And
they gave her a little redemption arc.
They did. They gave her redemption, which was predictable though.
It's extremely predictable, and like I said, I didn't feel any sort of emotion when she was crying, even though there's sad music going on, because like I said, we're not able to relate with or like really like much enjoy this character.
And then Obi-Wan of course tells her you can find a new path. And all I want to know is I want to go to that Dune Sea in Tatooine and just dig for lightsabers because good lord, there's got to be a ton, right?
There's Obi-Wan's.
Raise later.
To roam the dunes.
You were free to roam.
We're just out there roaming, searching for sabers.
Searching for sabers. Man, you can get some market on that thing. Kumail Johnny's character would love that.
One, yeah. He'd
for
be
sure.
A real Jedi.
He'd be a real Jedi, legit.
Go with
I love him. Anyway, so sets Reva on the right path. Predictable, but I can see that. I hope we don't see her again. She doesn't fit with the future, so I don't know.
Dude, I better never see her again. Like,
I
I'm
can't
not,
see-
I'm
I
not
can't
kidding.
see her in
She
the
has
future.
no point
No.
in the next season
No.
or a different Star Wars
No,
project.
I agree. All right, next up we go and we cut to Mustafar, Vader's castle, and this hype scene was super awesome.
Right before, I was like, bro, you know who's about to show up.
You called it
know
for
who's
sure.
about to
You
show
called it
up.
for sure. And then of course we go in there, and then none other than Vader's having a conversation with the hologram version of Emperor Palpatine.
Ian McDermott, he comes back.
Ian McDermott came
plays
back.
him.
Ian McDermott. I mean, he did say a couple months ago. Ian McDermott was like,
He's like,
"Keep an eye out for this show."
but then like later, he's like, don't be surprised if you don't see me. So he's like kind of like,
But
I'm
my
not in it.
shadow,
But he's-
you can feel my presence. If that
yeah,
makes
or
sense.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
But we see him, and it was awesome.
Their conversation was really cool because Palpatine can obviously see that he's upset, he's troubled by Kenobi. And he's like, "Look, you can't let your past get to you, my boy."
No,
Basically, what he tells him.
no, and it was so epic because you can just see Ian McDermott being like, "Huh, I have you in my palm.
Yeah, like
I got you.
You still mine.
You are mine. Don't be blinded." Oh, that was great. But that scene was epic in itself, and then it's followed up by another probably equally epic scene of Obi-Wan, of course, going to talk to Owen, and Owen's still like, "You don't belong here.
You don't belong here. What are you doing?
But then he reluctantly goes, "Would you like to meet him?" And then we get this epic part that made me so hype of Obi-Wan going to Luke, and then it just him saying, "Hello there."
Hello there.
And it was brilliant.
Hello there.
And Star Wars fans are gonna be so
I'm so
hyped.
glad they
included that.
Yeah, they included.
They
that
know what
part.
we want.
The fan service there was crazy.
It
Earlier, like in episode 3 or 4, he goes like, "Hello," and people are like, one more word, but he finally says it. I was worried that he wasn't going to talk to Luke. I thought he was going to say like, "Do you want to meet him?"
Right.
He's like, "No."
Well, Luke
Lost
in the
away.
future knew who Obi-Wan or Ben was, so I guess that's why, because they finally meet each other. But that was awesome when he says hello there, gives him his toy, we're assuming, because that's the toy that we see in A New Hope, him flying around,
Yeah.
20-year-old Luke, still playing with toys. It's okay, me too.
I was about to say.
Me too. No hate. All right, then we go off and see Obi-Wan riding on his camel thingy in this epic scene.
We called it too.
We did call it
called
too,
it.
but we knew it was coming for a
We knew
long
it was
time.
coming, and you call it at the beginning of the episode. You're like, "Here's how it's gonna go."
Yeah.
At the end, this character is gonna appear,
And it's going to
and
set
lead
up.
up to a season 2.
It's going to set up season 2.
You're
We're
right.
getting a season 2 for sure, because it's basically already been confirmed, because I already called it a season finale, not a series finale, plus what it led into. And that being, we see the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon!
That was hype.
He's one of my favorites, bro.
Liam
He
Neeson
looks
returning.
so good.
He looked great.
He looked great.
He looked great.
He
Him
looked so
returning.
good.
He had longer hair.
He had
Did you
longer
notice that?
hair. I know it. Hair probably grows when you're Force
guess.
Ghost for a while.
I guess the only part that I don't necessarily like was the part they kind of retconned back in Clone Wars season 6. The fact that Qui-Gon's only a Force voice and never was a Force ghost,
Yeah.
unless he completed his training from then
He
on or
completed
something.
and learned it. I don't know.
I don't know. That's the only thing I don't like, but I don't really care. I'm just hyped to see him. And so cool that, he's like, Qui-Gon's like, "It took you long enough. Are you ready?" And they start their journey. And of course, that's going to lead into season 2. I'm so hyped.
I was always here, Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. And that was
so cool,
epic.
man.
So let's get some predictions, because obviously that pretty much confirms season 2's coming. What do we think we're getting in season 2? Who do we think we're going to see in season 2? What do you think, Nathan?
So I'm gonna piggyback on what we talked about earlier. Obviously, I think season 2 is gonna be about Obi-Wan discovering the Force, how to be a Force ghost,
Right.
learning from his masters.
Right.
I don't think there'll be like necessarily too much action besides Vader and the Inquisitors chasing him.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
Which I don't think it needs that much action for what it's setting up.
I don't either. Similar to Yoda in season 6 of Clone Wars, I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if we saw him go to Dagobah, go to a couple other planets.
Because Yoda did go to Dagobah on his journey, so
Yeah.
it makes sense for Obi-Wan to go to Dagobah and have a conversation with
conversation with him, and along the way, possibly, I'd say he could train other Jedi, such as like Cal Kestis or other people like that. Maybe along the way, as
That'd be
he's
cool.
learning, he's.
I've already
passing
seen
them
some
along.
theories of Maul showing up, so
Maul would
that'd be cool because he's
But
out there.
I'd assume that would season 2 be now. You know what, Disney Plus writers like,
Right.
please run with that idea.
Right. That'd be
And
epic.
just don't give us another side character like Reva, and I
No.
think we'll be pretty.
I
good.
think we'll be pretty set, because I don't see another side character like that coming in for this season, because this season needs to be different in vibe.
Yeah,
Like it needs to be
totally
different. It needs to be a different show.
I don't
pretty
want
much.
another like action adventure
No.
season. You know.
No, it doesn't need that. It needs just him learning how to become a Force ghost. That's what the season needs, and that's going to be hype enough for me. So I'm so excited to see that in the future of the season. So all in all, Obi-Wan finale definitely lived up to its expectations. That episode was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I will say, of course, it's definitely that one, 5 and 1 are probably definitely the best
Yeah,
ones.
that 5 and 1.
But such a good finale, and I'm so excited for a season 2. Now it's time to rate the series as a whole. You want me to start off, or you want to start off, Nathan?
Listen, you started off.
All right, I'll start it off. All right. So, Obi-Wan, with the factor in of the finale of every episode and everything that went on in every episode. This is hard. Okay, so initially, my expectations for this show, I was going to be like a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a 10 out of 10. It's still a good show. I will say I still really love it as a show all in all. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I feel like that's solid because it says it's good. It's a really good show. Of course, there is some cons. There's some flaws that could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think, it's a really good show all in all, but, the holding back of episode 4, which wasn't as good, and then 2 and 3 being decent, not as good, was still, kind of limited a little bit. But I don't think it's limited enough to bring it that much down because of how much good stuff was in it. The fights, the, Obi-Wan Vader scenes, everything that was in it that was really awesome. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
All right. All right. Don't hate me for this, guys. So I think, considering the really cool action scenes, the story between Obi-Wan and Leia, I really like that part.
Mhm.
Those were some of my favorites. But then
Right.
there's, like I said, it's not a perfect show. There is a lot of stuff that could have done better.
Right.
I
Which
think
is
mainly
true.
that comes down to Reva.
Right.
They made her a huge character when she didn't need to be, and she took away a lot of screen time. Plus, some of the writing felt really lazy, and it felt like there were sometimes no stakes. So, to be honest, I'm going lower. I'm going to 6.5.
6.5. Okay.
I love the action and I love the story between Obi-Wan and Leia, but I don't think the fan service and the dope cool scenes are
Right.
enough to redeem the main like story and in the main writing. So
I can see
I'd
that.
go back and I would rewatch probably all of the fights they did.
Mhm.
But as far as the show in general, I don't think I'd want to sit down and do that.
I would sit
Is
down
what
and
I'd
rewatch
say.
it for
So,
sure.
I'd say
as
6.5 for
Ultimate
me.
Star Wars. 6.5, I can see you went up a 0.5.
I know. Initially, I was like 6, but
Yeah.
listen, it ended on a
That
really
would have been
good
the same
note.
thing as a Book of Boba Fett, though, that you
But
gave it.
it is better.
It's way
Honestly,
better
it is
than Book of
way
Boba
better.
Fett, for sure.
But
So-
I couldn't give it an 8 and 7. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I
I'll say
can see it. I can
6.5.
see it. But overall, I really enjoyed the show. It had some great scenes, some great fan service, and I think season 2 has potential to be
Way
crazy.
better. I think it has the potential to be way better.
I do
to be
too.
honest
I
with
do
you.
too. I think it could be way better. I do think The Mandalorian ultimately is a better written
Yeah.
show.
It
but,
is agreeable.
But Obi-Wan, I really loved it, and I can't wait for it season 2.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download.
Yes.
Heroes in the Moment is out on all major podcast platforms. So, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Apple. Go ahead, check us out. As far as announcements go, we'll be dropping Miss Marvel episode 3 breakdown this Saturday. So stay tuned in the AM. And so now with this season over, with KENOBI over, we will be releasing Miss Marvel breakdowns on Thursdays until that's over. From then on, we'll just see where it goes. But we'll keep y'all covered with the content for sure.
Yes. And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And of course, for Obi-Wan and the Star Wars community, may the Force be with you. And as always, we love you 3000.